Hey, what is up? My name is Rubidium, and today we're talking about pitching your project. Pitching is one of those skills that you always can get better with, you always need, and everybody needs to do. The biggest, best, most famous, most successful filmmaker in the world still needs to go to his investors every time he makes a film or she makes a film and pitch to them what they want to do. It's important to find a style of pitching that suits your personality and that suits your method of communicating. But I'm going to break down a couple of things today that I've found really useful in the way that I've kind of learned to pitch my projects, and hopefully they'll be helpful for you guys. First thing that is really important about pitching is gauging your audience. Understanding if someone's receptive to a pitch. There's nothing worse than pigeonholing someone at a party or a function or a meeting and then just talking at them for 20 minutes about what your project is when they clearly don't want to hear it. You really need to gauge people's interest and give them a pitch tailored to who they are, what their level of sort of film literacy is, and what their ability to understand is. So from that, leading into having 3 versions of your pitch. The first is a very simple one-liner or a log line of your film, the kind that would be listed under the TV guide. Die Hard's logline might be, New York cop tries to protect his wife from terrorists that invade a skyscraper. Like very, very quickly tells people what the project's about, what the genre is, what the scale is, what the scope is. Basically gets them ready for more. If the person you tell that to is like, oh, that's nice, don't go into the next level of pitch because they don't want to hear it. The next level of pitch is the elevator pitch. It's 2 or 3 minute breakdown of the characters involved in the conflict in your story. The final and most detailed version of the pitch is a 10 or 15 minute overarching storyline that basically tells people everything that happens in the film, sells your entire vision. Now, I think most people can get their heads around the one line and explaining the entire film, but it's the elevator pitch where a lot of people fall down. First thing I want to say about this is traditionally people sometimes say to compare your film to other films. Say it's like Die Hard meets Aliens, or it's like Interstellar but inside someone's body, or whatever it is. The problem with this is that the person you're pitching to might really not like those films for a different reason. They might not like the actors, or they might not like the genre. And it's not always helpful. You're sort of then spend the entire rest of the meeting or the rest of the pitch telling people why your movie isn't really like Die Hard or Interstellar. You know, before you tell people what your movie's about, they have this total blank piece of paper in their mind, and you get to write on that anything you want. So you want to be really careful what you put there. I should also say that I think enthusiasm is as important as what you say. You're not just selling people on your idea, you're selling people on you, on how passionate you are, how creative you are, how interesting you are. And when you're pitching your film to people, you want them to get involved in the story and the project at some level, but that means getting involved with you at some level. So you're really trying to convey how nice a person you would be to work with. Scripts also aren't the best idea because having a canned script that you've sort of written out and then memorized doesn't let you customize it to the person who's listening, to your audience. It's much better to have a really firm grip of the concept and then tailor it to whoever's listening. So the meat of this is something called victims, villains, and heroes. And when you structure a pitch like this, you build into it the conflict and the interest and the tension that makes a good story. So we start with the victims and what they want. In Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, there's a village of farmers who just want to be left alone to bring in their harvest and live a quiet, peaceful life. But there are villains. There are a gang of bandits who are determined to attack the villagers, steal their food, and their women and then make their life a living hell. That brings us to the heroes, the 7 samurai of the title that the villagers recruit to defend them from the bandits. And straight away you have this really compelling setup that sort of sells the essential sizzle of the story. It sells the conflict and the drama of the story. Will the samurais be able to save the villagers from the bandits? At what cost? How will they do it? Will the villagers accept their help? There's all these great questions that come up when you set up the premise correctly. And your audience should be receptive to this. Our brains are all hardwired for conflict and drama. The last thing I want to say about pitching is you're not necessarily trying to get the film green lit right there. Never in the history of film, probably, I have never heard of someone giving an amazing pitch to an investor and the investor getting out their checkbook. You're not going to be able to close the deal in one 15-minute pitch. All you want to do is to create a relationship and move things to the next level so that people can read the script. They can find out more about you, or you can schedule a meeting. Don't feel like you have to do everything in one meeting. Just tell the people that the story that you're so passionate about, that you want to make into a film, and then let the process take its course. That's a couple of words about pitching. That's how I think about pitching and what's worked for me. Let me know in the comments what you guys have found helpful, and I will see you next time.